This is the plaintiff, Wallen. He says he's an architect who was hired by the defendant to get a bar he was opening up to snuff with the Buildings Department of New York City. The defendant wanted him to slip things through the system without him correcting the many violations the place had. Obviously, he couldn't do anything close to that, and the defendant got upset. Bottom line, he did legitimate work for the defendant and expects to be paid for it, plain and simple. He's suing for $1,000, the cost of work completed. This is the defendant, Patsy. He says he had no proposal, no agreement, and no deal with this man whatsoever. Also, the plaintiff's no architect by any means, and he has no idea what he's doing. Bottom line, he owes the man nothing because he never did anything for him. He's accused of trying to beat the system.
Okay, nobody here wants their names or businesses mentioned, so I'm calling you Wallen.
Correct.
And I'm calling you Patsy.
Beautiful.
Okay. Wallen, you are suing Patsy for $1,000 that you say you provided in services that the company and Patsy refused to pay you. Go ahead. Tell me what's going on.
Hi. Thank you very much for letting me present my case to a court of law here. I would like to begin by saying that I was frauded from the beginning. I was intentionally harmed by the defendant, for whom I engaged in performing professional services.
Well, what happened? Tell me about what happened. Just tell me the story. Don't worry about how you legally couch it. I'll be the judge of that. Go ahead. What happened? How'd you meet this guy? What did he want you to do? What's going on?
Okay. I was referred to the defendant, Patsy, by my expediter, who I do business with. My office is located near the Department of Buildings in New York.
And what do you do?
I'm an architect, and I've been working professionally on my own since 2004.
As an architect?
Correct.
You're licensed?
Correct.
Okay, so what happens? He comes to you to see you for what?
If you remember, in 2009, it was a very difficult time in our economy. So things were slow, and I accepted jobs that I wouldn't normally take. But this was a referred job, so I respected.
So what did he come and see you to do? Get to the. Tell me.
I wrote a contract.
What did he put? Oh my gosh! This is so simple. I just want you to tell me. This guy comes in to see you in order for you to do what?
Oh, he wants to run a bar in Astoria, Queens. Okay, that's a legitimate business, but there are hazards that need to abide by the law of New York City when you involve many people drinking in an establishment.
What did he hire you to do?
He hired me, first of all, to clear up a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, all right. So he hires you to get a certificate of occupancy for a bar approved.
Correct. It takes some time. It's about 3 or 4 weeks.
So anyway, he goes to see you on what day?
I go to see him on
what day?
On Wednesday, the 25th.
Of what month?
March of 2009.
Okay. And on that day, according to you, he hires you and he hands you a check for how much as a deposit?
$500.
Okay. Now, what happens is you guys agree on a certain scope of work, and you're going to get how much as a retainer? The $500?
Yes.
Okay. But on the date that you deposit the check is March 30th. That's the day it bounces, right?
Correct.
Did you stop payment on the check?
Yeah.
Okay. And why did you stop payment on the check?
First, I spoke with him, and about the business. He told me I wanted only the first floor on the place to be filed because the basement, I don't use it. It's a storage. He said, no, I have to manage the basement. He put the management and said, well, wait a minute. We don't do any work now. We just negotiate. Say, I wanted only the first floor. He started explaining me, then the heater has to be, and the height, and this. And I said, listen, this is the landlord property. I have nothing to do here. And he was keep telling me I should start working. I said, wait a minute, where is Dennis here? And so we start, and then he goes to me, I should pick up the check if we start do a job. I said, well, hold it, because I have to think about it.
Why would you give him a check? Why don't you just think about it?
That's my first business in this country, and ever. So I was, I guess, just excited. I had cash, my savings on the side, and I was doing whatever just to make this work. When you open the first business, you're excited and just wanted the best of the best, right? I pay for...
You changed your mind?
Yeah.
And you changed your mind because what?
Because I don't know. It seems like he didn't have enough knowledge.
Okay.
You know.
Now, how is it that you figure? So, but did you ever call him and say, "Listen, I'm not going to go with you"?
Of
That
course.
call that you said.
Yeah,
when
I
did
said
that
this-
call take place?
I don't know how many days after.
Do you have any proof of the call? Do you have it like in your phone records?
I call Mr. D.
Do you have it in your phone records or anywhere?
No, I haven't bring it, but I can take it.
Well, no. Now's the time. This is the
I don't have it,
courtroom. All right.
but-
Did he ever call you?
No.
Okay. Did you ever call him when you found out that
Yes,
the check?
of course.
And what did he say?
Well, he wasn't available. He was out of town.
So you never talked to him.
No.
You
I
just filed a
spoke to him a
lawsuit.
couple times. After I did eventually speak to him.
And what was the
Well,
conversation? when you spoke?
he's a wishy-washy cheat. What are you going to say? You know, he's a wishy-washy cheat.
So is it enough that this guy wrote a check and he's bound by it even if there isn't a formal contract?
That's his signature on the check. That gives him right.
Okay, what do you think?
I'm not so sure because I don't know the law for that, but I do know no contract, no deal.
I love that he's so contentious. What do you think?
I have to agree. That's his signature on the check. That's basically a contract.
Got your point. Going inside the courtroom.
What work did you do that you want to charge $1,000 for right now?
I spent 2 hours at the site measuring, taking account of the violations that exist on the building. I gave him quality information. I returned to my office and to do work, to completing the certificate of no objection. I completed the papers, and that's about it.
Okay.
Then I found the check was canceled.
All right. There's a consequence for you handing him a check. Okay? There's a consequence for that. You can't just hand somebody a check and then say, we never had a contract, because I'm not going to buy it. Because the check is representative of some agreement with him. I think what happened is that you found it difficult to deal with him, maybe like I'm finding it difficult to deal with him, and you just changed your mind, which is fine, but you pay a consequence for that. And the consequence that he has to pay is whatever work you actually did. And when I'm looking at that, it's hard for me when you say that there was a $500 retainer you'd be working against to say that you're entitled to double that today and that you're entitled to $1,000 worth of work. It's just hard for me to do that. So you're going to pay him $500. My verdict in this case is for Wallen. Good luck, Patsy.
Was the defendant coming out here into the hallway? Come on over here. It looked like you were trying to say something at the end of that case when it was ending. What did you have?
I'm curious why I wasn't allowed to talk. I want to say my opinion too, you know. And, this man was sent from somebody else, which I spoke on the phone, do the drawing. He didn't do any job. He saying he did 2 hours. I don't think so. We spoke for 10 minutes, you know, and he has no anything. Now, what happened if you find a check on the floor? You know, you're going to suit me too? In my name? I don't. It's kind of weird, you know.
Okay.
I'm glad to meet you guys. And
You have to go to work, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I do.
All right, right around the corner there. All right, so come on in here, sir, and you're the plaintiff in this case. You come out on the winning end to the degree you did. What's your reaction to this outcome?
Oh, well, I'm favorable to the judges or the courts. You know, I'm favored.
You like the ruling, right?
Yes.
All right, what happened? What went wrong in the relationship with Patsy over there?
Yeah, I mean, we got along great at the beginning. I mean, I thought he was a nice guy from the very beginning. You know, called me friend and everything. And
then?
Wow. And then all of a sudden, you know, stops to check on you. What are you going to do? We start work, you know. I mean, what are you going to do?
You go to court. Harvey?
Short and sweet, you can ratify a contract by your conduct. Signing is not the end-all and be-all. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.